What is going on, everyone? I hope you are all having a fantastic day. So on Friday, we took a much needed break from all of this stimulus stuff, but as always, I do want to keep you updated on what exactly is going on in Washington right now. So today, I want to talk about where we're at with the HEROES Act, which remember was passed by the House a little over a week ago, and see when we can expect that one-time $1,200 check, or what to expect if the HEROES Act does not get past the Senate. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button if you do enjoy today's video, and get your $75 from SoFi using the first link down in the description, and let's jump right into it. Alright, so we know that the HEROES Act, which was the most recent proposal that would give you another one-time $1,200 check, did get passed by the House of Representatives on May 15th. But we have yet to hear a response from the Senate, which would obviously need to pass this bill in order for the president to sign off on it. And while we have seen dozens of proposals come out of Washington over the past few weeks, the American people have yet to see another round of stimulus other than the CARES Act, which honestly feels like it was forever ago, considering it was passed all the way back at the end of March. Now, obviously, there was the Phase 3.5 of the CARES Act, which increased funding for small businesses and replenished funds for the EIDL and PPP programs. But it's also very apparent that individuals need more help, not only to survive for themselves, but also to jumpstart our economy and halt the economic damage that has already happened. So why is Washington dragging their feet so much with the second stimulus check to individuals? I mean, hypothetically, the Senate could have one great day of debates and pass this on to the president's desk, who could really sign it off by the end of the week. But it just seems like there's no sense of urgency from anyone in Washington right now. Well, there's a number of reasons for that, but the most likely reason is that Senate Republicans want to see the effects of the first round of stimulus before issuing more payments to individuals. Now, personally, I think that that's a little bit crazy, and while the negative effects of taking on more debt are very real, as we've talked about before, what's more real and apparent right now is the millions of people who have lost their jobs and the countless of businesses who have had to close and lay off their employees as a result. Plus, it's difficult for us to see the effects of the first round of stimulus when people are holding on to every single penny they have and are afraid to have any high level of discretionary spending right now. Obviously, giving people money does help, but it doesn't really do anything for the economy unless they go out and spend that money in some way. And I'm not talking about buying toilet paper or food or keeping the lights on, because most people would have to buy these things anyways. But what I'm saying is the Senate shouldn't just sit around waiting for the first CARES Act to kick into the economy, because most people are afraid to have any level of discretionary spending outside of the things that they absolutely need right now. So as far as a specific timeline, I'll be completely honest, nobody really knows, and while we can make an educated prediction based off the information that we have, anyone who says that they have an exact date or want to put a label on the next round of stimulus is simply taking a shot in the dark just like anyone else. Like I said, the Senate could have one great day of debates and the HEROES Act could be passed by the end of the week. But what happens if the Senate doesn't pass the HEROES Act, which is a very real possibility in my opinion? Like I've said before in my past few videos, the HEROES Act does have that pre-negotiated $1,200 one-time payment, but it also includes a whole lot of fluff and garbage that is not necessary for an economic relief bill and will likely cause it to fail in the Senate. But I don't want you to think that if the HEROES Act fails in the Senate that we are necessarily out of luck completely and won't see any more stimulus at all. While the HEROES Act is receiving a majority of the attention right now for obvious reasons, it is not necessarily the end-all be-all, and the entire debate around the next round of stimulus payments isn't even a matter of if, because members in both houses of Congress on both sides of the aisle have agreed that another round of stimulus payments to individuals will likely be needed, and pretty quickly as well. The issue that is really holding up this entire process is the question of how much and where should this money go. Considering the current level of unemployment and the other negative economic indicators that we're seeing right now, most people would agree that another round of stimulus checks is needed, not only for individuals, but for small businesses, corporations, and even state and local governments. But the House and the Senate simply cannot agree on how much money should be spent and where this money should go. As we said before, Senate Republicans largely want some sort of payroll tax cut, and that has been advocated for by the Vice President and the President as well. But House Democrats see very little value in something like this and would much rather see a monthly recurring payment, like something from the Emergency Money for the People's Act that would give you $2,000 a month. Now, thankfully, House Democrats did understand that a monthly payment was unlikely to pass the Senate, and pre-negotiated in the HEROES Act to have that one-time $1,200 payment with the hope that this would be appealing to Senate Republicans. But with so much fluff in this 1,800-page, overly complicated bill, Why did the House Democrats even bother sending this to the Senate if they knew it wouldn't get passed in the first place? Maybe they thought they would throw the kitchen sink at it in hopes of getting a few of their wishes, but again, this only slows down the entire process, and every day that goes by, more and more families are losing their jobs, losing their homes, and have no way to feed their families and buy the most basic necessities. And while this may not be a reality for you or me, this is very real for millions of Americans right now, and each day that Washington drags its feet is more and more families who are going hungry and have no way of buying the most basic things that they need for their families. Well, right now the ball is largely in Senate Republicans' court, and the House really has no ability to do anything more with the HEROES Act since they already passed it last week. But I personally think many of our leaders and policymakers in general are being blinded by one very misleading economic factor right now, and that is the stock market. We have all seen those unemployment numbers continue to climb every single week, now surpassing 30 million in the past 2 months alone. Not to mention the horrible continued increases in cases and deaths for the health crisis itself. Yet despite all of this, the stock market is largely recovering from the bottoms towards the end of March. After losing over 30% of its value at the beginning of March, the S&P 500 index is down less than 10% year to date, and the Nasdaq is actually up almost 3% year to date at the time of making this video, which is absolute insanity. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to the stock market doing well, but if you had fallen asleep in December and you woke up today and I told you that there was this horrible pandemic and the unemployment numbers were well on their way to passing those of the Great Depression, you would probably assume that the stock market was down 40 to 50%, if not more. But for one reason or another, that is just not the case. And our policymakers who are largely invested in these markets likely look at their profits and think,
oh, everything's fine, everything's back to normal, everything's opening, it's all okay.
And whether you think everything is fine or not, the point is that millions of Americans need more stimulus. And assuming that this isn't the case just because the stock market is up is a short-sighted and misinformed outlook on the overall economy. Keep in mind that only 52% of individuals invest at all, and outside of a 401k or pension plan, very few everyday workers actually have holdings in the stock market in any form. Now, if you're watching this channel or you're a politician in Washington making well over 6 figures a year, then this is probably a surprising statistic to you. But this is the reality, and judging the overall economy based off of the questionable volatility of the stock market is a poor way to make decisions, especially when those decisions affect millions of people every single day. So like I said, it's not necessarily a question of if with regards to the next round of stimulus, in my opinion. We've heard from pretty much everyone with a loud enough microphone in Washington that another round of stimulus is needed, but the two questions of how much money and where will this money go have yet to be answered. I talked about this in last Monday's video, but personally, I would love to see a $1,000 per month recurring payment with very restricted qualifications for income and other qualifying categories. By proposing something like this and leaving all of that unnecessary crap out of it, this really could not only get passed realistically, but actually help those people who are in need and not waste trillions of dollars on spending for individuals who are honestly doing just fine. Again, is it fair that the person who worked hard and saved would get nothing from those restricted income limits? Not really, in my opinion, but what else are they gonna do? They can't give $2,000 a month to everyone like we've seen proposed because that just isn't going to get past the Senate. But a one-time $1,200 check only goes so far, and that's why personally I think $1,000 per month to people who actually need it to support them just while they're getting back on their feet is really the best option right now. Even though this isn't enough to support your average family for a month, $1,000 each month could be the difference between skipping a much-needed meal or not. But of course, before we see anything like this even get proposed, we will have to see what the Senate does with the HEROES Act, which is currently on their plate. I don't think it's going to get passed, especially in its current form, and I think the 1,800 pages of fluff will simply take far too long to sift through, and it might be a faster course of action to actually go back and start from square one with a short, realistic bill that can get through the House and the Senate and have it signed off by hopefully the end of May or early June at the absolute latest. So as always, let me know what you think of all of this down in the comment section below and what you would propose as the best stimulus option. I know we have seen so many ideas with the recurring monthly payments, a payroll tax cut, hazard pay, and so many other things, but I know these would affect different people in in different ways. So let me know what you think of all this down in the comment section and what you've come up with as the best option, since what we've seen proposed is really only a small portion of the total options at our disposal. I mean, would $1,000 a month in recurring payments do any good for you, or would you need more or less money for your situation? So let me know what you think of all that down in the comment section below, and remember to get your free $75 from SoFi using the first link down in the description. And if you don't have a bank account already, this is a great place to start and speed up your next stimulus check, since you'll get a routing number and an account number, and therefore you can apply for direct deposit with the next stimulus payment. Of course, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for regular updates on everything that's going on, and of course some more great personal finance content once all of this stimulus stuff is over. As always, thank you so much for your time. I seriously appreciate it so much. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.